Hello! Welcome back to another latest feature of ECMAScript. They keep adding new things, but this is a really good one. So the latest one, ES 2020, has some really neat features, and I want to show you some of my favorite ones. You can see them right here. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about these three over here, and then later on, we'll have separate lectures for ES 2020 Promise, All Settled, and also Global This. So those lectures will be titled ES 2020 with the respective names because these last two are better understood once we go over a few different new topics. So let's just focus on these three for now. Let's get started with Big Int. And Big Int is a really exciting new feature. It's a new type in JavaScript. What do I mean by that? Well, now in JavaScript, we have a type of Big Int. That's a new type, just like we have number, just like we have Boolean. We have different types in JavaScript. Well, let's test out that theory. Let's say we want to find out in our console over here, if I do type of, it gives me the type of something. So if I do type of 4, it's a number. If I do type of, let's say, true, it's a Boolean. But what if I do a type of a really large number? Well, that's still number. You see, Big Int stands for big integer. But Andre, you just told me that Big Int is a new type, and how come I don't see it here? Well, to get the Big Int type, let's clear this. You simply add the letter n after a number. So for example, I can do 1n. So if I do type of 1n, I get Big Int. But what does that really mean? Here's a fun little JavaScript trick, or a gotcha. JavaScript has something called max safe integer. And I'm going to link to some resources in this video that if you want to dive deep, you can read about. You see, JavaScript has something called a safe number. And it can go up to a certain safe integer, which is this number right here. But as soon as you go a little bit higher, the calculations start breaking down. So if we scroll all the way down here, we find out that the max safe integer has a value of this number. The reason behind that number is that JavaScript uses double precision floating point format numbers. Whew, that's a mouthful. Essentially, there's a limit to how much information we can store in memory. Well, kind of. And because of the way JavaScript is built, and this is actually common with other programming languages as well, there's only a certain number that it can hold. And Big Int solves this problem. So let's experiment here, because I always love when learning a new thing to experiment and make sure that we truly understand this. So I'm going to open up the console once again, and I'm going to try something. I'm going to say number.maxSafeInteger, which gives me the number that we have here. So this is the max that we can do in JavaScript. So what if I do this number plus 1? Does that work? Yep, it works. What if I do this number plus 10? Does that work? No, it doesn't, does it? This number plus 10 shouldn't equal that. You see how we just broke something? What if I do this? What if I do this number right over here minus 1? Oh boy, it's messed up again. Again, that doesn't make sense, does it? So Big Int is used when we want to use a number that's larger than this max safe integer and we want to do some calculations with it. So instead, if I do this n minus 1 n, well, I get an operation between these two big ints, and you see here that it's working. It's minus 1. Again, if we try and do our max integer over here, and we do plus 10, we see that this doesn't work. As soon as we add n to both of these, there you go, our operations work. So we're able to use big int as a new type. Remember, if I clear this and I do, let's say 1n plus 2n, well, I get a big int, a type of big int that we can do calculations on, especially for big numbers. But as you can see, we can also just do regular numbers as well, as long as we enter n. Pretty cool. Most of the time, you're not going to use this feature, but it's nice to know, and it's interesting to know that there are these limitations with JavaScript, and big int solves them. All right, let's learn something even more fun. Next one is nullish coalescing operator. Actually, you know what? Let's start with this one first, the optional chaining operator, and then we'll go into the nullish coalescing operator. So let's pretend that we're playing Pokemon. Hopefully everybody knows Pokemon, greatest game as I was growing up. I think it's still popular though. All right, getting sidetracked. Let's focus here. Let's imagine that we have a user and we'll say Will is a Pokemon trainer. And this user has, let's say, the Pokemon Pikachu, and Pikachu is, let's say, a species that is a mouse Pokemon. It's got a height of 0.4 and let's say a weight of 6 pounds. So height 0.4 centimeters and 6 kilograms weight. Now let's imagine that we want to find out the weight of Pikachu and hold it in a variable. What we would usually do is say let weight, and we'll say within here, we'll do will Pokemon dot Pikachu dot weight. So if we console, let's make this a little bit bigger, and we'll do weight here. Let's copy this. Oh, and we forgot a comma over here, so let's try that again. Let's copy this. And we get weight of 6. Just to be clear here, I can just say weight like that. All right, so this is working. But here's a problem. Let's say we have a different user. And this time, the new user, his name is Andre. And Andre doesn't have Pikachu. Instead, Andre has Raichu. Again, a different kind of Pokemon. It's still a mouse Pokemon, but some of the details are different. Say the height is 0.8 and the weight is 30 kilograms. So now, if I wanted to find out the weight, let's say Raichu, and I run this command, so let's say now, instead of Raichu, let's just do weight 2 here. And this time, from Andre's Pokemon, we'll do this. If I run this, I get an error. Cannot read property weight of undefined. And why is that? Well, because Andre doesn't have Pikachu, right? We don't have that Pokemon. Instead, we have Raichu. So when we try to grab the Pikachu from the Andre Pokemon object, it's going to say air.